Hey folks, welcome to Fyreflye's Follies. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll subscribe and stick around a while. So today I am doing a twist on a classic. Now, I'm a Southern girl. I was born and raised in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas. We were nothing fancy, just plain old Southern country people, and Sunday supper staple for us was meat and dumplings. Growing up, chicken and dumplings was the standard, just like everybody else, but we were from the country. We had squirrel and dumplings or rabbit and dumplings on occasion, and even pork and dumplings once or twice. So today, I'm going to make beef and dumplings. Now, I'm going to get my broth heating, and then we'll move over to the dining room table and make some dumplings. I am using my home canned broth, but you can certainly use store-bought. If you do, you might want to season it up with a little bouillon or some spices or something to get it to your liking. So you're going to need about 6 cups of broth. Well, that smells good. So I'm going to do 1.5 quarts, and then I'll take a look at it in a bit, and if I need to add more I will, but 1.5 quarts is about 6 cups. Alright, so I'm going to stick this in the fridge and this in the sink, and we will head to the dining room where I have a little bit of space to work on making dumplings. I'll meet you there. Okay, so you want to put your flour and your shortening in a bowl, and you want to mix these together until what you have is just kind of pea-sized pieces. And you can do this with a fork, you can do this with a pastry blender, you can do this with your hands. It's up to you. You just want to make sure that it's all broken up in there and pea-sized pieces. And it goes pretty quick. You just want to keep working it until everything is kind of all blended in together. That looks pretty good. So this is kind of what you're looking for. You're wanting everything to be in kind of pea-sized pieces. Right, and then we are going to slowly add some milk. And I'm going to start with about 1/4 cup. And then I'm going to add a little at a time and work it in just until everything pulls off the bottom of the bowl. Alright, so all of the dry flour has been worked in. What we're left with is dough. So, let me get my rings off. So, what we're going to do is we are going to put this on a floured surface, and we are going to need a lot of flour into it. Probably going to need it 15 times at least. So let me get my board floured. Now, my granny made some amazing dumplings when I was growing up. And she taught me a little secret to telling whether or not you have enough flour worked into your dumplings. And today I'm going to share that little secret with you. So you want to take your dough and turn it out, and you are really going to work some flour into it. We are probably going to need this 15 times or more. And it will become a tight dough. You'll be able to tell the difference. Right now it's really soft. But as you work the flour into it, you'll start to feel it has much less give. And you just want to keep working the flour into it. going to check it when we roll it out and see if we've actually gotten it kneaded enough and gotten enough flour into it. So I'm going to flatten it out a bit. I'm going to sprinkle on a little more flour. And we're going to roll this out about a 1/4 inch thick. And then we're going to test it. So when I was growing up, my granny made amazing dumplings. And she taught me the trick to tell whether or not you have enough flour worked into your dumplings. And the trick to that is, once you have it rolled out, you pick it up and you hold it out from you. And if the dough breaks right away, you don't have enough flour. You need to work some more in. If the dough holds for a minute before it breaks, you have enough flour and you can start working through your dumplings. Alright, let's see. So when you pick it up, you can give it a little shake and it doesn't drop. Those have enough flour worked into them, but I felt a little thick spot, so I'm going to do that. Right around those edges. Alright, and now we're just going to cut our dumplings. Move the milk out of the way. You can cut them with a pizza roller if you want to. I've always just cut mine with a fork. You're not looking for perfection, of course. You just want bite-sized dumpling pieces. And they'll swell a little bit when you put them in the broth. So I'm going to get these cut. And I'm just going to toss them back into the bowl. And I'll sift some flour onto the top of them, and we will go get started on steak. Okay, so I cut out the dumplings and I sifted some flour over top of them and gave them just a toss. So let's head back to the stove and let's get this all put together. It's almost supper time. Okay, so I like to season my cube steak with a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And I'm not very heavy with seasoning on it, but I want to do it before I cut it up so that it's pretty even. And before I get my hands in the meat. Alright, so then all you're going to do is you're going to cut your steak into bite-sized pieces. Alright, once you have your steak cut up, you just want to coat it with flour. So just put it in your bowl, top it with a little bit of flour, give it a good toss so that everything is coated, and then we're going to let it sit for just a few minutes to let that coating kind of stick really well. And I have my oil heating. You need enough oil to thoroughly cover the bottom of your skillet because we're going to fry this up in oil before we put it in the dumplings. And of course I have my broth. It was heating while we made the dumplings, and then it's been sitting. I'm going to turn it up so that it can start coming up to a boil. You just want to make sure that they're very well coated. And then I like to add a little bit of onion to mine when I'm cooking it. So I'm not going to put a huge amount in. Brings to the vegetable broth bag. And I'm not going to finely dice this, I'm just going to chop it up a bit. And then we'll drop that in with the steak when we're cooking the steak, just to give everything a little more flavor. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small piece and I'm going to drop it in, and when it starts to really sizzle, we'll know that the oil is ready. Okay, so our test piece is sizzling away, so we're just going to drop all of this in the skillet and let it fry up till it's golden. And of course we'll turn it a bit as we need to. Okay, the steak and onions are done and the broth is up to a good rolling boil, so we're going to start by adding the steak. Give that just a quick spin around. And it is still boiling nicely, so let me move the skillet out of the way, off the heat. And we are going to drop in the dumplings. Now, the flour that we rolled the steak in before we cooked it and the flour that's on the dumplings is going to thicken the broth to give us a gravy or sauce of sorts. Okay, I gave everything a gentle stir, and now I've covered it, and it's going to simmer for about 12 minutes. And once it's all ready, I will bring you back and show you what we end up with. Okay, I let everything simmer for about 12-13 minutes, and this is what you end up with. The flour that coated the dumplings made a beautiful beef gravy. And you have soft, tender noodles and pieces of steak. So, there you have it. A delicious bowl of beef steak, cube steak, and dumplings, and then the broth turned into a luscious gravy. Try a bite. It's a little warm, but I'm going to try a bite here. Oh, that is so good. This really takes me back to my granny's kitchen. The dumplings are tender. They're not fluffy like biscuit dumplings, but they're not dense like a noodle dumpling. They're somewhere in between. Absolutely delicious. I hope that you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope that you will, and if you hit the bell, they'll notify you when I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching today. Have a great day.